communities too.
And everybody who uses water,
Yeah,
which is
everybody
everybody.
that uses it. So that is really an issue. The Farm Bureau, I don't know what we can do to do that other than pray and everything. We're working with our BLM and Forest Service, and they've been really receptive trying to help us get through this drought.
Well, let's put it to the test. Let's get on our knees and see what we can make happen.
Can we wait till after Mother's Day? Because if we do this now,
I
you
swore,
know what's gonna
Mother's
happen
Day
on.
snowstorms.
Yeah.
I swore if
wipe
you
us out.
complain about a foot of snow on Mother's Day, Tim, we could use it bad.
Up there, sure.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
No,
Everywhere.
up there.
Everywhere.
You
My
know,
lawn needs it right now.
it's really interesting with the water because isn't it farmers hate rain and producers love snow, or is it the other way around?
They all should like moisture.
Well, right, moisture's
Granted, it
moisture.
blackens hay, but
Right.
it's good.
And thank you for starting the show. I apologize for my tardiness.
Did you bring a note?
What?
Did you bring
She's
a
out of
note?
breath. That
Oh, my
much is
head.
out.
I ran the entire way here. No, and I tried to go in the back door, and the back door's now infinitely
yeah.
locked.
Yeah.
That's-
So, you know, a day
That's
at a
annoying.
time. I'm grateful that my office is only down the block now instead of across town.
Yeah. we
Because
know
that was, definitely a benefit. But, it's,
And it used to take you past Burger King where you said, "Ooh,
Oh,
I'm late." I'm like, I gotta go.
every time. And I still have to drive, because I live on the west end of town, and I still have to drive all through Burger Alley now. And I'm like, that looks good, that looks good. Anyways,
we'll be happy to start the show if there's sandwiches on the way.
good to know. I will remember that for next week,
Just in
for
case.
sure.
The water, I mean, I don't know if I want a foot of snow on Sunday, but a storm coming in would be fine. It doesn't look like it if the weather is the fact. So I'm hearing a lot of things, and maybe this is me trying to think things through a little bit. One of the things I'm hearing a lot these days, and it's a point of view that I'm initially resistant to, but then there's a part of me that says, well, maybe we can look at that. And there are groups out there that are suggesting, in fact, even being a little bit more than suggestive, saying, rip out your lawn and take it away. And my first thought was, you can't tell me to do that. But then you look at things and you go, well, do I really need to do I have to have a lawn? And because there's a lot of water.
So here's my take on it.
Okay.
And Scott might share this viewpoint or not. I'm not sure. And we kind of talked about water shortage a couple shows ago, I think. And what's interesting is if we are so short on water, then I think the cities and the municipalities and the government entities need to set the example of water usage.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're suggesting that we go to xeriscape, it's actually harder to maintain xeriscape, and there's more chemicals put into the ground, which affect our ground source water more, and the filtration and the validity of the soil more with xeriscape culture, at least in our community, because you're spraying to keep down the weeds, you're spraying this, you're spraying that, where water your lawn few times a week, mow it.
That's in my opinion. I mean, we don't like dirt blowing in our houses, so a little grass around them is
And
really
it helps
nice.
keep them more efficient,
Well,
cooler.
what about green asphalt? I mean, it'd be nice, pretty green.
You still have to maintain AstroTurf.
No, asphalt is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
asphalt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is that a bum disease or what is that?
I mean,
But I would like everybody to try and work on being efficient. Water your lawn what it needs, not have it swampy, because most people overwater their lawn.
Well,
I
another
would
way
like
to do
to
that
challenge.
is to forget about the timer. I have a timer, but I don't have my sprinklers on a timer. I use the manual setting to water when it needs to,
Right.
rather than just automatically go off at a certain time.
Right.
And another thing I've looked into, because we actually have not had a lawn for several years. We gave up on it because it just got to be a mess. And Tammy's kind of wanting to get that back on. and I'm okay with that. But with the advances that are made, you can get it set up that it will say, oh, we need to water this, or it will sense what's on the lawn and say, no, we're fine, we don't have to water it. So I mean, there are things you can do.
Yes, there's so many technology advancements out there that it's really kind of, in my opinion, asinine to have your lawn swampy at this point, or
Yes.
have sprinklers break and you didn't know about it for 2 weeks and you've been flooding your yard. Like, you
Or the
noticed
neighbor's
it,
yard.
right? And you noticed it when you got your water bill. Like, well, why is this so high? You should be paying attention and being a good steward of the land that you own, and or rent. We have a lot of renters out there, which is great. We love people being in this community, but take care of the property.
And that's in agriculture. We're really focusing right now on being efficient with our water, because it's obvious that there's not enough.
Well, no, but take the advancements that we've had over the last 40 years.
Mhm.
We were on hand lines that had to be moved, and then we went to wheel lines. Well, longer than 40 years ago, but then we have wheel lines that, still get, pushed and rotated with a little generator, and then we have pivots, right? Well, now the technology with pivots, you have specific nozzles that go closer to the ground that put more water out per square inch or square foot than what the nozzles did before when they were 3 and 4 feet in the air.
The college has a linear down here that's like a pivot, but it moves straight. And on that, they've got 7 different towers, and each one of those have different nozzles, studying which is the most efficient, which can grow the most with the least amount of water. I mean, that's efficiency. It's not just
Right.
put a lot of water on and say, well, we're efficient.
Well, and between here and the Burrow Valley and Parowan Valley, some of our winds, and it doesn't all hit in the same day. Sometimes Cedar gets wind and Parowan's calm. Sometimes Parowan's going through tornadoes and Cedar's calm. And Burrow, Lord knows what happens over on that side of the mountain. Because I know, I have been to some of my producers' fields where they have had a rotation crop year, so they don't have anything in the ground in the spring, and those spring winds come up, and he has had to move 4 and 5 feet of gravel, like dirt, off of his fence line and get it back spread across his 120 acre pivot. It's insane. And so becoming efficient with the water and becoming efficient with the different nozzles is so vital to the way that we produce in this area, especially where we're high desert, altitude, and our main crop is alfalfa, which is a low canopy shrub, I think is what it is.
Man, you know more than I do, I guess.
Oh, I don't know anything. This is McKinnon Hansen. I am totally learning every day. I try to learn a little bit more.
It's a legume.
A legume.
Some kind of a legume.
Excuse me, a legume. Tony Carlisle's
Well,
probably cussing me.
no,
How do you not know?
I just never heard it called a shrub.
Well, to me, but
Well, it's a
anyways.
perennial, so that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So with that, we're talking a little bit about water. We do have the Utah Federation Iron County meeting coming up next week on Thursday night at 7 p.m. at the Spring Hill Marriott Conference Center. What topics are we going to be going over?
So next week, we are gonna have our county agent, Randall Violet, talk to us, and he's got lots of different interesting things, studies he's working on and different things, and so he's gonna come and fill us in on what's going on and introduce himself, because he's a great resource to not only farmers, but, people with gardens and everything, and so we're excited to talk to him.
Well, and with the new not the new USU Extension Office, but they have had a Master Gardeners program for quite a few years now. So, it does pertain to more than just agriculture producers.
Absolutely.
It's your medium to mid-sized and small and, even bucket farmers, I'd
Yes,
say.
yeah, everything.
Someday I'm going to be a bucket farmer. Do you know what a bucket farmer is, Tim?
It's the first time I've heard that term.
So, you take a 5-gallon bucket and you grow something in it.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, people grow tomatoes. The thing that I want to try that I have yet to try is potatoes. That way you don't have to dig them out, but they still grow in the 5-gallon bucket.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I had a roommate in college that tried that.
Did it work?
Well, yeah, too good.
Could I do onions in a bucket?
Probably. I think
I
you just
might
have
do
to.
that.
You have to keep the soil amount from the rim so it doesn't get hot, so the produce doesn't burn on the inside like sunburn.
Okay.
But you would have to just keep it more in the middle, and depending on the crop, you know, you would just maintain the location of the bucket more, you know, so it gets some more morning light than evening light, because our evening lights are hotter, which is better for your tomato and
You can do
squashes.
gooder on this show. You can do gooder.
Oh,
so
gooder.
Okay. Yeah.
Something else the Farm Bureau's really working on right now, not that we're sure which way we're gonna go, but you've heard about the $1.9 trillion stimulus. Well, Utah's
Oh,
gonna
my.
get some of that, and agriculture's gonna get some of that, so we're really pushing for some infrastructure that would help us in agriculture and in our communities.
And what does that
Whether it's
look
a
like?
slaughterhouse,
Okay.
Oh wow.
some kind of processing. It's sad we grow all of this stuff here in Utah and ship it all somewhere else to be processed. Wouldn't it be something if we could keep it right here? And not only, I mean, the carbon footprint would be better if you didn't have to ship it. I read an
Right.
article, or part of an article, my reading's been kind of wild during lambing. I haven't read the whole thing very much, but you know, they're mining ore out here
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And then they take that ore and they ship it to China and they ship it back. Well, look at all the pollution, if you want to complain about that causes. What if we could manufacture it right here in Iron County, right here in Utah?
Remind me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there used to be this really big, I don't know if it was a smelting, but a really big, you know, production up in, I want to say Spanish Fork, American Fork, something.
Right there in
What was
Geneva
it?
Steel.
Yeah,
Right, Geneva
Yeah.
Steel. So, I mean, I would say we have the bones for a good infrastructure and
But all that iron
self-sustaining.
used to come out of
Or
Iron
would-
County as
Or
well.
I'm
Right.
sorry, Orem wouldn't put up with it anymore though.
Well, I'm not saying that that specific area should continue to house it, but you can move skeletons.
But so much technology's coming out, you know, our coal plants are actually a net gain on the carbon thing, because they capture all of that and they build stuff out of
Right.
you know, so the technology's really changing. So then, to go on about my reading, I read a little piece that said that they're gonna try and get a smelter here. But I didn't read the whole thing because I might have fell asleep or, well, you know, whatever.
You know, or some emergency came up,
Yeah.
like lambing.
Now, I don't want to be the contrarian here, Scott, but I have an actual question I'd like to know the answer for. I think a processing plant in Utah is a good idea, but if there's a real need for it, why hasn't the market come through with that answer already?
You know, and I can't tell you, like in the cattle industry, we used to have them. We used to have cedar packs right here in Cedar City. And how come things moved like they did, I really can't tell you. One time it was so cheap to truck, and then they didn't want to have a different size of box for the meat. So all of this kind of cattle was killed here, and this kind of cattle was killed there. And I mean, I'd haul fat cattle one place and load fat cattle and haul them where I came from. And it's like, have you ever heard Brian Regan talk about the log trucks?
I haven't.
They log over here and they log over here, and the logs pass on the freeway. And it's like, now wait a minute, if you needed logs over here, and you needed logs over here, wouldn't a phone call save a whole lot of work? But I
Communication.
think that we're finding out that maybe we've kind of developed a monopoly in the cattle business. The big four take care of most of the cattle. And I'm not saying that we can do away with them, but you're gonna find out if we had some place to process on just a little bigger scale our own product, it is so much better than what you're getting through the store. And I
Local
think,
shops are proving that.
yes,
Well,
yes.
we went to the farmer's market Saturday
Yes.
and came home with some product, and I go, well, I don't know why you even go to the store anymore.
Well, so there's, and I might be missing, you know, a few out there, but I mean, you have Nate Esplin over at Custom Cuts that still processes live animals.
Right.
Like he can't do like store bought, you know, that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
just a different. He doesn't have a USDA stamp, to my knowledge. I might be
No,
wrong.
No, you're right.
D9 Custom Meats out of Paraguna.
Right.
You know, and then you have Dry Lakes Ranch Beef, the little meat shop in Parowan run by the Carbala family. And those are, to me, our three local resources. just in Iron County. That doesn't include anything in St. George. You have Kanab Custom Cuts or Custom Meats.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I've actually heard of them.
you know,
So-
and they supply a lot of
and
the
they are
hamburger to the
USDA
restaurants.
That's right.
certified,
Yeah,
so,
and
so they
Canab's-
can sell. When you're not certified, you have to, like if I wanted to sell McKenna, I have, the smallest part I can sell her is a quarter of an animal.
A quarter of an animal, not
Yeah,
processed or
I can't
anything.
sell her a pound or 10 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to sell her a quarter, half, that's how it's done. But once it's USDA inspected, then it can be sold in individual packets. And there's, you know, Casey and Reyes have done really good with their meat shop.
Right, they.
Down in St. George, Sherry Tate, she does a similar thing.
Okay.
You know, and this is coming to be a wave, but isn't it sad that they have to take the animals way up north to get them slaughtered where it's
Yeah.
inspected, you know?
Now, educate me on one thing, and I'm asking because I don't know the answer. So a processing, a slaughterhouse, can it only do certain types of animals? In other words, can a slaughterhouse, you can only do beef, or you can only do pork, or that?
And all of that has to be in the regulations when you set it up.
Really?
I mean, the big plants you go to, they're not gonna kill lambs and beef. They're gonna specialize in pig or pork, you know, they're gonna do one or the other. But I do believe that a smaller plant could be set up, and they're set up to kill multiple kinds of animals.
Multiple types and cuts and wraps and things of that nature.
Because we've been looking into the possibility of getting a quarter or a half of an animal, and then freezing it and having it available to us. And I'd like to see that become more accessible here in the area.
And it's really
think
hard
it's
right
coming
now.
down. I think
Our
it's-
butchers do a good job, but they're booked like 6-9 months out.
Oh yeah, like I know that through just my community interactions that Custom Cuts wasn't accepting any like wild game, you know, like elk and deer and things. He was booked out enough on beef and pork that and some lamb and stuff in there that he was like, look, I'm sorry, but you know, you have to go somewhere else, which is good. Nate's a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and because I've been late all day, we're late closing the show. This has been McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday. Today we've had Scott Stubbs in, which is our Iron County Utah Federation president. Our Utah Federation meeting is next Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Spring Hill Marriott. We are so glad you were able to join us. Thank you guys for allowing me to be slightly tardy and out of breath when we started the show. Thank you, Scott, for covering for me. I do appreciate it.
If there's square sandwiches next week, you can come in at 9. That's fine.
Okay, perfect.
You can do trading.
All right, I'll do trading.
All right,
Thank you so
MJ,
much.
thanks very much. That's our
Have a good day, guys.